Good evening, everyone. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Can we have roll call, please?
Supervisor McGlasson?
Here.
Councilwoman Campbell?
Present.
Councilman Ruthven is not here. Councilman Tempori?
Here.
And Councilman Boyd is on his way?
He'll be here shortly.
Okay.
Okay. I think we're gonna move the public hearings, just the order around, and we'll do the budget hearing first, and then, since our town attorney is not here yet, we'll wait to open up that one. So I make a motion to open up the 2023 budget.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. I invite Yulia Kelly up to do our budget presentation.
Hi, good evening, everybody. I'm gonna run through my presentation quickly, so to give everybody an opportunity to ask questions. So as always, I start kind of showing you a pie chart of where the tax dollars go. As you can see, the majority of the pie are the school taxes, followed by the town taxes and then the county tax. Actually, the school's portion of the pie increased from last year. So last year was about 72.5%. This year it's 74%, over 74%. These are just the changes in the tax rates. You can see, the school district tax rates have kind of inched up slowly over the years, whereas the town and the county rates have stayed pretty level. Again, this demonstrates, just to show you where your tax dollars are going. This shows the changes in the overall school tax levy, not just our town's portion, but the overall levy. As you can see, it increased by about $11 million over the last 7 years or so. That's just to show some of the changes in tax levies of the nearby towns. I picked 3 towns, and as you can see, the levies in all of the towns have been, have slowly increased over the years as well. While our town's levy prior to this last year has stayed the same for about 6 or 7 years. This is just a quick overview of what is going to happen to the levy in what is proposed to happen to the levy in 2024. The preliminary budget of the town includes a 3.81% increase for the town-wide funds, which is the general fund and the highway funds, Lake Carmel Sanitation District, Lake Carmel Fire District, Kent Fire District, Lake Carmel Park District, the 2 water districts, and the Kent Sewer District. Some of these percentages might look like they might put us over the cap, but we are just at the tax cap. So the town board is not breaking the tax cap. Some of the bigger items that drive the increase in the budget are required, mandated retirement contribution. It's the town's portion of the contribution into the retirement system that the town contributes on behalf of the employees. The rates over the last couple of years have increased. So it's a state fiscal year, so the 23-24 fiscal year, the rates for ERS and PFRS are increasing 15% and 4% respectively. The rates are proposed in the projected, are projected to increase in the 24-25 state fiscal year by 19% and 15%. And this is kind of the last bar in this, the retirement contributions, is is the 24-25 rate. It's not, the increase, it's not just attributed to the rate increase, it's also attributed to overall increase in payroll as well, because it is based on, it is a calculation, it's a percentage of the overall payroll costs. Just to show you that the health insurance that the town pays on behalf of employees and their families has increased over the last 8 years by almost $900,000. So that includes the increase in health insurance rates. We don't really even, the budget has an estimated rate for 2024. We don't know what the rate will be yet. They usually don't come out with that rate until the end of November. So, so that's health insurance. It is a factor. It is a function of the increase in rates as well as just an increase in legacy costs as people retire. Our retirees are. They do keep. The town pays on their behalf. And then new employees get hired, so the costs of health insurance do go up. This is just kind of describes what's going on with our Lake Carmel sanitation costs. The Lake Carmel sanitation, let me just tell you the numbers. The contractual, basically what the town pays to bring the garbage to a facility, those costs have increased over almost $160,000 over the last 7 or 8 years, and we've just been kind of playing catch up because we have not raised our taxes for the same amount of an increase. This is utilities cost. A significant jump in utilities was actually last year. The cost of fuel did kind of level off this year, but it's still significantly higher than in the years before last year. This is just a summary of the budget. That's one of the cover pages of the preliminary budget. Just summarizes what the increase in the levy is, the percentage increase, what the total budget is, and how much of it is funded through taxes. This is a breakdown of where the appropriations are spent. You can see that it's, the general fund and the police, as well as highway, make up the larger percentage of our town-wide budget. This is a summary of the general fund and the comparative of the preliminary budget to the adopted 2023 budget. And the same for the highway fund. And I think I'm done. Any questions?
Any questions from the board?
No, I think we discussed this in pretty much good detail.
Any public comment?
First, I just want to say, I thought Chris would be here too. Congratulations on your reelection. Okay, so the highway, you have here increase. Oh, sorry. Let me just put it.
Ilya, do you want this one in case you have to? Is that fine?
So the highway is increasing by 4%,
Yes.
and what would the reason be?
Do you want to explain it, Lynn?
Yeah, I mean, the part of the reason is health insurance costs. There are there are some people, there were retirees, so new people were hired, so that's a big increase. As well as an estimate for anticipated contractual obligations for, we have an unsettled contract. So in anticipation, there's some percentage that's put away for
What
an
kind of
anticipated negotiated increase, which we don't really know yet what that will be.
Oh, for their
For
Teamsters?
their Teamsters
Okay, so that's
negotiations.
why, not just because Highway has gotten almost $10 million over the last few years from the last two town boards. So I was very surprised to see that that was up, especially since we just had a company come in and pave Smoky Hollow when we have our own pavers, and we did it for the county, so I don't understand that. Okay. Town board is, so everybody's getting a raise
We put in a 2%.
with our taxes going up 3.8. Okay. Business investment property. Could you just tell me what that is?
What page are you looking at?
I'm sorry?
What page are you looking at in the
Good
budget?
question. Page 2 of 2. On the website, half of it was upside down, half of it wasn't, but I mean, just telling you.
I don't know.
Is that?
I don't know.
Here,
This is, okay, you're looking at, this is just something that's required to be part of the budget document. These are, to demonstrate all the exempt properties,
okay.
and is just showing you if they weren't exempt, what the tax ratification would be, yeah.
And the franchise fees for Comcast and Verizon? That does not include our cell towers, right?
No, those are just rent.
And where would the
just
cell
Comcast and
towers be?
Verizon. It would be page, so it's code 20, it's 82410, so it's, I'm not sure what page it would be for
And how much
you.
is it
But we're budgeting 155,000,
that we're receiving?
yes.
Oops. Okay. Refund, page 8. I think it says 8 or 6. Refunds prior year's expenditures. That's the budget transfer for the Ryan's Field lights? The 22?
No, the refunds of prior year's expenditures, depending, so these are, so for 23, if there are vouchers that were, or checks that were written in prior years.
Years, okay.
And they're no
Okay.
longer valid outstanding liabilities,
Okay.
then we recognize it as revenue in the current year.
And the gifts and donations?
That's if anyone donates, let's say for recreation, like they donate.
In 21, it was $237,000?
No, that was, no, I'm just looking at normally what it is.
Okay.
That was a grant, a local grant,
That was a grant?
yeah.
Okay. And we still have DARE?
We do.
Okay, I didn't know we just still had it. And the ARPA revenue, you have nothing for 2024?
It will be recognized as, it's in deferred revenue. Whatever ARPA money we got ourselves is in deferred revenue, so it's in the liabilities. Whatever we spend and recognize, and it will be recognized then.
Okay. And also, there's an increase in your budget personnel services as a budget officer? Is that what it is, 2% in budget personnel
Yeah, it
services?
should be 2%.
In the budget,
Yeah.
as a budget
Oh,
officer?
I didn't, okay.
It's separated from your
Mhm.
other thing. Contingencies, personnel services. Contingencies, you have up to 77,000?
It is an anticipated contractual settlement with whatever Teamsters are part of the general fund, so, yeah, our municipal
Oh, that's
repairs.
going into,
Yeah, our municipal repairs and our parks employees, as well as an additional anticipated increase for health insurance sufficient.
and parks contractual on page 22. Last year was 148,000, and now it's back down to 50,000.
Some of that current year, 148,000, 2023, some of that is Ryan's field work, which will be mostly covered by our county ARPA, our ARPA money from the county. And we'll modify the budget to increase the revenue and increase the revenue budget.
Celebrations, 18,000, that's not just the fireworks, I guess it's a little of everything?
It's everything, yeah.
Stormwater contractual, down to 10, but at one time it was 205.
That's, no, that was the expense, it's what we spent on a grant.
Okay.
It was for a specific grant last year, or the year before, in '21.
Sale of scrap.
Is it highway?
Well, that's my question. Is it sale of scrap for Lake Carmel sanitation, or is it sale of scrap for?
They have their
highway?
own, they do have their own line for scrap.
So
They
this
use
one
two
is,
different- They use two different.
this one's
companies.
highway?
Yeah. If you're looking at the DA page,
DA, yeah,
Yeah.
26, yep.
yeah, they use two different scrap companies.
Emergency disaster, I'm assuming FEMA.
Yep,
Interfund transfers, 700,000.
coming from the general fund, yes.
Coming from the general fund for,
For highways debt service, I mean.
oh, for the bond that he
they're
has, the
same, yeah.
millions of dollars that he has, yep. Contingency personnel services, 119, again, is that for?
That's it for contractual settlements.
Okay, my favorite, the sewer. When I had gone to Yulia, we talked about the sewer district was at one time 76,000, then 86,000, and then it jumped to 110.
The portion, the 70, it has been 110, which included the portion, the town piece to the Kent Manor, plus our fees that we pay directly to VRI and NICEAG for other maintenance type things. But in the last year, our Kent Manor bill was 100 and something thousand, which pretty much swallowed up the entire appropriations of the sewer district.
And that had nothing to do with the electricity and the
Right,
generator
right,
and everything else like
correct.
that. And then Sean was going to take care of that with the attorney from Kent Manor? I know, I kind of gathered that.
So yeah, we're waiting for an invoiced breakdown.
Right,
Of that
correct.
110,000. So we're waiting on it. Yeah, but I called and asked about it. I was told that I would get it. After 30 days, we did not get it.
Right.
And I asked Nancy, and I'm sure Nancy is now waiting on a reply. But I asked for it to be formally written to them.
Okay. Because now it's going to go up to 120.
I'm
Well, we
assuming-
increased the budget in anticipation that it might,
If we
so.
don't get an answer, they don't get it. That's what I think. And what is this that, the sewer district on a total fund G,
Mhm.
the 22, Is that the lawsuit money?
Yeah,
Yes?
yeah, it's the money that's going into, to pay off the capital fund deficit for,
The lawsuit
That
that was
bill,
not paid
yes.
to on time. Okay. I'm almost done. So Lake Carmel Park District, the SP1 total fund,
mm-hmm.
what is total E expense? And then total fund SP1, it's two different things?
No, there's SPO. Well, that's just a total expense
For Lake Carmel?
for Lake Carmel Park District.
Mhm.
Yep. And the total fund, that's how much fund balance is being used to balance the budget.
The 74
Yes.
to balance the
Yeah.
676.
Yep.
Pretty high for what we really didn't do anything. Okay, those are my questions. Thank you.
That's okay.
Sue Kotzer. Going back to the highway department, I was at one of the meetings for the budget, and it was mentioned something for the highway department, but something about Nick buying something or selling something, and Rich wanted something, but it was never really voiced exactly what was transpiring there. So their budget's 4%, so is it just health insurance, or is
It's
it also?
really- It's really mostly the 4% is the estimated increases in salaries plus health insurance.
So salaries,
Health insurance and the retirement contribution, which all.
so
driven.
no new equipment?
No.
No new equipment, okay. Okay, and I also want to specify that I see that the Kent Recycling Center is in the budget, and I just want to make sure it's made known that our funds are our funds, and it doesn't get included in the budget, that it's separate funds, it's separate money.
Okay.
Yes?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Hi, Julie Boyd Kent. Thank you. You've done a great job explaining. I just have a few questions. I noticed throughout the budget that we would, thanks, Sue. If you had a projected estimate in 2023 and we didn't make it, we would still project that same amount the following year. An example would be on page 1, the central garbage kickbacks. We estimate in 2023 $300,000 in revenue. Our actuals were only 206. But in 2024, we think we're going to make 400. How can on a revenue we estimate we're going to make more money if we couldn't make it last year?
The 206 is just a year-to-date number, so it's not a projected.
So in the 2
12-month
months, we could
number.
make it, well, it says 1 to 12. So,
I'm sorry, it's the actuals as of the printing of the budget document. So all of the actual column for 2023, they're not the 12-month numbers. They're
Okay.
whatever the numbers
Okay.
are at that point, and sometimes it doesn't include certain adjustments also that are made at the end of the year.
okay. On page 2, I know we have a great police department, but our fines are going to increase 133.3% next year. I mean, we'll stop driving in the town. I mean,
Which,
on page 2,
uh-huh.
police department fees. I mean, we're estimating an income increase that high?
These are fees, they're not fines. These are not like the justice court fines that has a separate, these are not tickets or fines. It's just certain, certain fees that the police department brings in. Some of them are, we get reimbursed for crime reports. LexisNexis reimburses us, crash crimes. There's various things that have nothing to do with, ticketing or violations.
But how
or
would we know
fines.
the revenue's going to increase that much?
Well, to be honest, the police chief told me that's what he
Okay.
thinks he's going to collect.
That's an honest answer.
For, and that's what went in the
Okay,
budget.
okay. On page 5, it talks about interest income. It has also a very large percentage increase of 566%.
Yes, yeah, the last few years, the rates have been totally nominal. We have some money, it's not but it's in a New York State approved investment fund where governments can, it's like a CD where governments can put a little bit of their money in and get a better rate. So instead of earning 0.03%, we're earning 4 and 5%.
It's still large. I'll ask you afterwards what investment fund, because
Okay.
the rest of us might want to get in on it.
Oh, well, just for municipalities.
You also, on page 7, it says Health Dare Program and federal aid, and we're assuming we're going to get income. Is that something we normally get?
Health Dare, yes, we do.
Okay.
Yeah, from the school district.
Okay. On page 11, and this occurs throughout, also I just picked this one as an example. Under the municipal court part-time, our actual is 8,445, and we're projecting to go up to 86,000.
Wait, are you in?
Page 11.
I just have to pages. This is something that, this actual column, this is something that will be, some of the salaries in the actual will be reclassified at the end of the year because they're in the full-time court personnel services code as opposed to the part-time code.
Oh,
So it's
okay.
just sometimes a matter of presentation
Okay.
in the interim numbers.
All right. And so I think, like Kathy asked, so if you see the heading contingencies on personal services in any of the department, that's the, like Teamster labor negotiations?
Contracts that haven't been
Okay.
settled.
Thank you. You do a great job. Do you guys, how about that Airbnb hotel tax? We could make up. I'm going to keep pushing it. There's a lot of people renting in Kent. Let's get some of the tax dollars. Thank you.
That's on our radar. No one else? Okay, so what do we want to do? So we want to just hold it open then?
I think if we're
Okay.
switching the meeting to
So we'll make that
14th.
announcement now then. So we're going to change the next town board meeting to November 14th, which is next Tuesday, and we will keep the 2023 budget open until that day, and we will hopefully be able to adopt it that night.
Okay.
That's at 7 o'clock?
Yes.
All right, we should all be here then? Sounds good.
Tuesday, November
14th, next
14th.
week.
That will be instead of the November 21st board meeting.
Right, because it has to be done before the 20th.
Right, so it just made more sense to hold the board meeting and everything, so November 14th. You want me to text you at like 6:30?
That would work. It's
This
been,
was a different day, it was, it's
yeah, and
confusing.
it's been obviously a busy few days.
I'll text them.
Yes,
You got here pretty quick, though.
yes.
All right. So, then we're good?
Good?
Thank you.
All right, you're welcome.
Thank you.
Good night. Good night. Thanks.
I make a motion to open this soil removal and excavation public hearing.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
As everyone knows, we've been going back and forth on this for years now, and I think we have finally come to the final version that has gone back and forth, all the notes have been reviewed. Is there any comment from the board before we open it up to the public?
Nope, I think we've had a lot of discussion on it already.
Ann, are you good?
Yes, I just want to clarify, the red line version that we have in the backup shows the changes that were made in response to comments, correct? Mm-hmm. Okay, and so then we'll get a clean copy of this that we will be submitting after adoption.
Correct. It's just easier to see with the red line what was changed. Everyone, okay? Public comment?
You tell me if this doesn't work right. I'm a little taller than everyone else. Okay. So, good evening, everybody. My name is Neil Alexander. I'm a partner at the law. My name is Neil Alexander. I'm a partner at the law firm of Cuddy and Fader. You want to do it? Perfect. Thank you. So I'm a partner at Cuddy and Fader. We represent Kent Country Square as an applicant in the town. You've received a lot of letters and memos from my colleagues, Anthony Mirando, Michael Caruso, our consultants, Langen Engineering, PW Engineering, about this law, particularly a big submission in August. And I know there's been a lot of dialogue, so I'm sort of the newer to the party of this law and its time, but I started taking a look at the law and I wanted to raise some concerns to you all about its breadth and in ways that haven't been raised before. So this is new. I'm very concerned with how this law intersects with federal land use policy. In particular, the Telecommunications Act of 1996 and the 150-day shot clock. I don't know how an applicant pursuing a cell tower can make it through this law and the planning board law consistent with the shot clock. I also think that the amount of disturbance you're talking about when the average cell tower compound is 10,000 square feet, your law is too tight, especially considering you have to get up a hill very often for a lot of cell towers, and you have grade changes. Another federal intersection, fair housing policy. I don't know how you can build a multifamily housing project on any piece of property to provide for workforce housing, to provide for a DHCR supported project in your town under this level of restrictive amount of disturbance. RELUPA, which is religious land use policy. Again, you can't, beyond New York law and Cornell versus Bagnardi and the protections about eleemosynary uses being able to expand or establish themselves, what if Watchtower wanted to build a large facility in town, as an example, right? Considering their town over to the east. They're religiously protected land use, and the amount of disturbance, again, you're cranking down on them, and that's the whole point. You can't burden a religion's ability to practice and establish themselves, not only under the First Amendment, but under RELUPA. Additionally, I think you should take another look at moving to New York law a little bit here. You should take another good look at the way your agricultural exemptions are written. New York is a right to farm state, and I don't think, if you think about the way the definition of what is a farm operation, what is a commercial horse boarding operation, what is a commercial equine operation, you allow them to even be able to do what they do, again, with this levels of restrictions. This building and complex, I don't think would meet your law, interestingly enough. Look at the grade change between here and where the road splits. It's probably 16 to 18 feet, first floor level of this building to where the road, where we are. You know, this was just built, what, about 22 years ago? So I think I know you've been looking at it for a long time. I know the moratorium has been there. Moratoriums you don't need to continue a moratorium to continue to work on a law. So I think there's a very appropriate and important policy that's behind this. This isn't just trying to fight off regulation. I recognize that there's salutary goals. But I think, and with all deference to everyone who's been involved for much longer than I have, this may be too blunt force an instrument to accomplish those important policies. I think there's also a really strong need for a fiscal study to accompany this. A fiscal study, sorry. Just very plainly, this law applies the same to a 10-acre piece of property as to a 100-acre piece of property as the 50-acre, 25-acre. You've essentially said if you have a 100-acre commercial piece of property and you have a 10-acre commercial piece of property, they're worth the same now because the amount of disturbance that you can undertake is the same. And therefore, the project that you can build on both is tapped out and capped out as the same. Therefore, they're worth the same. Therefore, if I were a commercial property owner in town with any large lot property, I'd file a tax certiorari immediately upon the adoption of this law because my property's not worth what its developability is completely constrained. What that means is your commercial tax revenue will shift. You're trying to stay under the tax cap. So where's it going to land? It's going to land on all your residents. And you're already looking at a significant problem from what I've seen of the school district has decreased by 15% in the past decade in enrollment. And from what I saw looking at filings with New York State Education Department as per your school district, you're looking at probably another 10% in the next 5 years as well. So you have your school districts going down in enrollment, but your fixed costs are staying the same, and you're about to shift the fiscal impacts here from commercial to residential. So we know we've been complaining and waiting about this law for a while, so but by the same token, I think we can let the moratorium lapse, and there's ways to work through this. I'm not expecting you all to respond. I know your consultants aren't even here. I just wanted to bring this all to your attention because I think it's too tight, it's too restrictive. There's other ways to accomplish your purposes and your goals. And I think there's ways for the regulated community to comply and meet your expectations without essentially having the chilling effect that we're very concerned that this law will have in its current iteration. I remember from looking at the video from your last meeting that you weren't voting tonight anyway, so I wanted to posit these thoughts and hopefully we can have a dialogue about them. And that the public hearing will be continued this evening, in order to work through some of these issues. And if you have questions of me, I know I just threw a lot at you in 5 minutes, so to speak, but I do think that it's just ultimately, it's too much. You want to build a really great, horse equine operation in town. You want to build a couple of rings. You need to do a lot of site prep for it to be safe if they're going to be indoor rings that are going to operate as well as outdoor rings. You're going to need to have paddocks and turnouts for this. And this can bring a lot of jobs, really good paying jobs. Well, I don't think this law lets you do that because you're basically saying to people, not only can you not, you're going to have to do it over like a 10-year period to get that much disturbance onto a piece of property because you're capped out at how much you can do any given year. And how does that intersect with your speedies permit, which only lasts for 5 years? Your general speedies permit in the watershed. So I just think that what you're doing is you've put so much on. You've done a lot of great work, but I think it almost trumps your whole zoning code. It almost actually makes, you might as well just rip up the script and throw out your zoning code because it's made development almost so chilled and so unable to move forward. So it's been a while since I've been in town, very long time. I mean, I think about what the watershed regulations did to the ability to have economic development in town and the relief that, and the businesses and how they were affected. I'm concerned that this is going to stop other businesses from being able to come. And what that'll do is just shift everything from the commercial side of your budget to the residential side of your budget. Certainly make it hard if you're already up against the tax cap right now to stay under it. So thank you for listening. Again, if you have questions right now, I hope this is a continuing conversation. And I think it's important, lastly, to underscore is that while there's been a moratorium, we can still work on this law and let the moratorium lapse. And that's the spirit within which this is being offered to, is that we'd like to work through these issues and these concerns. And this is not an attempt to get around or to push off regulation. It's just to get it right-sized. So thank you.
Thanks.
Any other public comment?
Julie Boyd. Change the two words. They were still circled in blue on the thing. So just on page 2, just make it from the earth, not form the earth. And on page 10, K13A, it should be, of should be, or there should be an or in there, not of or something. But, you know, I thank you for all your hard work. You guys have been working on this for years. I guess my impression, on 13A, on page 10, 13A, it says including or rock chipping. It should just be including rock chipping. Just remove the or. It's extra. But you guys have been working, this board and the previous boards have been working very hard on this. So I guess my interpretation of tonight was that we didn't really actually have to have this second hearing. That was a courtesy you were doing to those of us in the public that have worked for years, so with you folks. So my impression was that this would be it. Thank you.
Everyone else is good? No more public comment? I make a motion to close the public hearing for the soil and excavation.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Okay. Moving on then. Our first item on the agenda is our recreation. We need to advertise for a part-time employee because our current full-time employee will be leaving for college in January, so it's time to start looking for a part-time employee to help us with the basketball season and moving forward. So I just asked tonight that we approve to go out to advertise for a part-time employee.
Make a motion to adopt a resolution authorizing the town clerk to advertise for the position of recreation assistant. Whereas the town board wishes to authorize its town clerk, Yolanda D. Capelli, to advertise for applicants for a recreation assistant for the Recreation and Parks Department. Now therefore be it resolved, the town board of the town of Kent hereby authorizes its town clerk, Yolanda D. Capelli, to advertise for applications for the position of recreation assistant for the Recreation and Parks Department of the town of Kent. I make this motion.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Our next item on the agenda is the accepted donation of the land.
I have a question. I don't think we've received yet, we had requested from the donor a written offer, and we haven't received that yet in my offices, so I think maybe we should put this over. since we're
Yes,
meeting
Ann and I were
next week
talking.
anyway.
Yeah, in addition, we wanted to do a little more research on environmental situation with that property.
I don't have the address in my backup, but I can get that to you later.
They were supposed to get us more information before tonight's
Yeah.
meeting, and. Okay, so we'll just table that then for
Thank you.
hopefully the next meeting. Our next item is for highway, the transfer of a trailer. I was hoping Richie was gonna be here to talk about this tonight. Do you want to discuss it? Because I know you and he had been going through it. I know it's a donation of a trailer from Putnam County to us.
Yeah, I guess it's been in the highway garage since 2014,
Mhm.
and we've let the county use it as needed, and they've let us use it whenever we want to, and they want to donate it to the town now, and they've submitted an agreement, which my office has reviewed, an intermunicipal agreement to donate that to the town, which appears to be in good order. So we recommend authorizing the supervisor to enter into that agreement.
Any comment? Since he's not here.
So, with this donation, I believe I read that the highway department put in $17,000 into the trailer to repair it and paint it, and
I don't know anything about that.
you don't have the backup?
I don't have the backup with me.
So it's not like,
I can,
the town has had this trailer, but they've cleaned it up, they did steel work on it, they painted it. I think it was $17,000.
yes, whereas the value of such improvements totals more than 17,000.
17,000. So now the county is giving it to us for 17, after the town of Kent has been doing the repairs on it.
And
we'll-
getting the use out of it.
Yes, everybody has.
For 10
And that,
years.
but town of Kent paid 17,000 to keep it up and running, just making that clear.
I don't think,
Do we pay or we invested $17,000?
We invested.
we
Well, it's two
invested and
different
now,
things.
and now it's ours.
Yeah. So the county gave us the trailer, we did repairs to it, increased the value of it by $17,000, and we're gonna get to keep it now.
Yes.
That's what it is. Very good.
How old was it when you got it?
It's a 2,000.
It was 2000. So 14 years later, then we had to put all the 17,000. Do you see where she's coming from? It was a 2000, so it was probably pretty well beat up when it got to highway, and then they put in $17,000 into it. And now they're donating it because they don't want it. It's 20-something years old, and next year I guarantee you'll be dumping it.
What would a new one cost?
The what?
Any idea what a new trailer would cost?
No, and I don't know what it is.
Okay, just curious.
But, but I know next year it'll be, oh, this is gonna be on one of those, it goes out because it's not worth it.
But we're not giving it away,
There's no urgent
we're
need
keeping
to
it.
adopt this tonight. There are questions that we
Yeah,
have
no,
always
but next year.
to respond to.
I thought he was gonna be here, because
Yeah.
we can't answer these comments or questions, because we don't, it's not our, Richie's had it. So if we wanna wait, we can wait till Tuesday and have Richie come and answer
Yeah,
these,
let's
but.
do that.
I know he was eager to accept it, but I don't think there's a rush for us to enter into.
I don't think there's a rush for it either. I'm sure we can hold it over.
I move that we postpone consideration of this to next week's meeting.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And also back on the donation of land, it's 361 Route 52.
Thank you.
361, 52?
Route 52 by the Lakeview Church.
There's a tax map number if you'd like it.
Yeah, hold on. I'm trying to get it up. Okay, go ahead.
Tax map is 33.18-1-13. That's 33.18-1-13.
And the address was 260?
361, I think?
361 Route 52.
So if you're heading into town, it would be on the right-hand side, right after you pass the church, starting to go down the hill. There's a very old for sale sign on it.
Yeah. It's like wet and all by Jose, whatever, it's all wet there.
We don't really have any information of them in location, so.
Okay. All right, are we good? Our next item is the planning board. They had a meeting, just find my. The planning board is asking us to accept an erosion control bond in the amount of $22,000, a wetland and planning performance bond in the amount of $2,000, an escrow for the final inspection fee from the owners of Hillside Road, and a return and application fee, and release remaining escrow funds for 251 Towners Road. They voted unanimously, and they're asking us to just release the money. Any public comment? Board comment? And you want to read it?
Okay.
Thank you.
I make a motion to adopt a resolution accepting erosion control surety bond and escrow for inspection fee and returning application and inspection fee. Whereas the Planning Board, by Resolution Number 16 of the year 2023, dated September 21st, 2023, has recommended that the Town Board accept, 1, an erosion control bond in the amount of $22,000, 2, a wetland and planning performance bond in the amount of $2,000, and 3, an escrow for the final inspection fee in the amount of $1,000 from the owner of the property located at Hillside Road, identified as tax map numbers 42.24-1-3 and 33.18-1-28. And whereas the Planning Board, by Resolution Number 12 of the year 2023, dated October 25th, 2023, has recommended that the town, 1, return an application fee of $250, and 2, release the remaining escrow fund of $417.25 to the owner of the property located at 251 Towners Road, identified as tax map numbers 33.59-1-68 and 69. And whereas the town board wishes to accept the recommendation as set forth in Planning Board Resolutions number 16 and number 12, now therefore be it resolved that the town board of the town of Kent hereby accepts the recommendation of the Planning Board as further detailed above for tax map numbers 42.24-1-3 and 33.18-1-28. And be it further resolved that the town board hereby accepts the Planning Board recommendation and authorizes the refund of $250 and release of the remaining escrow fee to the owner of the property at tax map numbers 33.59-1-68 and 69. I make that motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Next, we have the tree removal around Lake Carmel. Our crew chief, Frank Sabatini, went out and got 3 quotes, and we had 2 quotes that came in at the same price, and he is recommending that we go with Jimmy Trees, Inc. for the $1,200.
Why do we continue to go out for tree cutting when the highway has its own bucket truck?
What I'm told, this tree that they couldn't remove. That's why Frank went out and got bids on this tree.
That highway could not
That
remove?
highway couldn't remove the tree.
Okay, because I just see it a lot, and I'm just wondering, we have a beautiful bucket truck.
They said that he told me that they are not able to take this tree down safely.
Okay.
You wanna read it?
Sure. Make a motion to adopt a resolution accepting a quote for tree removal in the Lake Carmel Park District. Whereas there is a need for the removal of a tree within the Lake Carmel Park District, and whereas in accordance with the town's procurement policy, the town requested quotes for the removal of the tree and received 3 written quotes in response. Copies of such quotes are attached hereto and incorporated hereby. And whereas Jimmy's Tree Service and Red Oak Tree Service submitted the lowest quotes in the amount of $1,200. And whereas the town board of the town of Kent wishes to accept the quote submitted by Jimmy's Tree Service, Inc. Now therefore be it resolved that the town board of the town of Kent hereby approves the removal of the tree at Lake Carmel Park District by Jimmy's Tree Service, Inc. at a price not to exceed $1,200. I make that motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Our last item is to approve a letter so that John Andrews can review the plans for Nichols Street and make recommendations. Nancy, do you want to discuss this? Because I know you were in the meeting with Councilman Roosevelt and
Yeah, so in
Hoffman.
connection with a development that has been pending for years and been the subject of litigation, there are plans to develop a Nichols Road extension and to cut off Nichols Road and make it a cul-de-sac, basically. So the town would like for that to stay open, and we have suggested that our engineer could look at the plans and see if it could be done without much, delay and cost incurred to the developer, and the developers agreed to allow the town to do that. So John Andrews is just looking for the board's authorization to spend the time doing that review. We have a contract with him. He already serves the planning board, so it would be at the rate set in his contract, which is $170 an hour.
Because the board does not want Nichols Street to be closed.
No.
We want it just to remain open. So that's why this is important.
But is that still going to be where that developer wanted, or there's two developers, the one going out by Chris's Automotive? There was
That's
some.
still
is
gonna
that-
happen.
Okay,
There's no light plan for there, so the concern is that it may be difficult to make a
Left.
left-hand turn onto 52, whereas there's an existing light where Nickel Street currently is.
right, okay.
So rather than close that off, the town board would like to see that kept open for
Open.
safety reasons. So that if someone wants, coming out of the new development or off Nickel Street, wants to make
A left.
north on 52, they have a light, so they don't have to try to fight the traffic to cut across.
Right, but one of the developers was going to pay for the other study on Route 52. We were going to do it, but he said he was going to pay for it,
On the Nichols Road extension?
going out onto 52 by Chris's Automotive
Right.
at one
Yes.
time. It was, the engineer said, we'll pay for it, but the town should go have somebody go out and look at it.
Right, and they agreed to pay for an independent engineer
Right.
to review that. We're not there yet.
Okay, so we're just doing the one.
This has to do just with the existing Nichols Street, and
Okay.
whether or not it can be, the plans can be redesigned, so that it's not gonna delay the development
Right,
and cost an inordinate amount of money.
okay,
So, rather than them pay their engineers, we agreed to have our engineer take a look at it.
okay.
I'll read it. So, but basically in short, where the traffic light is, where Nichols Street comes out onto 52, just about across from Towner's, they want to just dead end that, so it doesn't come out there anymore.
They wanted to.
Yeah, it was a proposal, which seems like a really bad idea of eliminating ingress, egress into the project. Considering it took me about 10 minutes to cross 52 today while picking up campaign signs, waiting for the traffic. So when that road goes in, I don't know how anybody's gonna be able to pull in and out of there, so. All right, I make a motion for a resolution authorizing engineer to review Nichols Street project. Whereas the town board wishes to authorize John V. Andrews, P.E. of Rhoda and Soka and Andrews to review the plans for Nichols Street and make recommendations consistent with the existing contract between the town and Road Soka, I don't know how, is that butchering that name, Soka? And Andrews? Soika, thank you. Now therefore be it resolved that the town board and the town of Kent hereby authorizes John B. Andrews, P.E. to review the plans for Nichols Street and make recommendations. I make this motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
I'd like to make a motion to add an item to the agenda pertaining to the TAP grant application.
Sounds good to me. Second
It's
it?
a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
So we had voted to pursue DOT TAP program funding, and the goal for that would be to have sidewalks along Route 52 in the commercial corridor there. To get that application in, we need to have an engineering consulting firm prepare a diagram and put their stamp on the application. And it turns out that the engineering firm that does that is not allowed to actually do the rest of the design work unless they comply with a certain procedure that the DOT requires. So under their local design services agreement program, there are, for Region 8, which we're in, there are 15 or 16 engineering firms that are sort of pre-qualified. And if the engineer that we choose is to be allowed to go forward with the actual project, if it's funded, we need to do that pre-qualification process now. And it's going to be difficult to get a company to agree to provide us what we need for the application if they know they can't do the project. So what most municipalities do at this stage, I'm just learning about this, is they send, this is in accordance with the manual for this DOT process, they solicit the different companies that are on the list and ask if they would like to submit an expression of interest back to the municipality. We then would be, or the municipality then reviews the pre-qualification submissions and selects an engineering firm, which can then go ahead and help prepare the materials for the application. I'm told that that should cost probably a couple of $1,000s, certainly under $4,000. So I'd like to make a motion tonight, if possible, that we would authorize our supervisor to go ahead and solicit those expressions of interest from the companies on the Local Design Services Agreement Program list, approved list for DOT Region 8, and that then once the company has been selected, that we would authorize that company to prepare the materials we need for the application for a cost not to exceed $4,000.
You need the design for the sidewalk to be able to go away for the grants, yes?
Correct.
Can't you use the sidewalk grant that we did receive from the county years ago? It was 2 miles of sidewalk for $2 million. I mean, it was already drawn up. I'm just asking.
We have that documentation, and that's going to greatly facilitate preparing the application, which means even though we're starting a bit late on this, we have a good shot at being done by the final deadline in January. But there's an interim deadline at the end of this month for which we have to have at least a sketch. Now, that original application was the full over 2 miles from the southern border down by
From
ShopRite
ShopRite.
all the way up to 311. I think, given the limitations on the funding, we're probably going to be looking at more like a phase 1 to hit sort of the most high priority areas, but we will certainly be using that application material.
Right.
I don't know, I guess that application was completed. I think
It was
there
completed because we were granted $2 million for 2 miles of sidewalk, and I'm going to tell you, it's in Carmel.
Well, my understanding was that somehow what the county is telling us is that that project ended up sort of, I think, being over budget, that they, in a sense, actually surrendered the funds back because they couldn't complete it.
I'd like to see the paperwork on that.
Yeah, so in any case, this time, I think the county does not have interest in trying to reapply based on what occurred, but the town can apply.
The reasonings were because from ShopRite to go on, there was a lot of divots in the road, it was too steep, it was too this. I tried to foil for all those papers, and I was blocked, and I was the town supervisor, so.
Yeah. So we do have to establish what the priority area would be. I think we're thinking for the first round, we would probably start around Nickel Street or a little closer to the border of the town and go up at least to the end of where the sewer line ends. It doesn't make sense to us to go much further because if we put sidewalks in, then they're going to have to be taken out if and when the line gets extended, which we're optimistic now might actually occur. So that's one consideration. The other thing is that that stretch running up to 311 has a lot of residential properties, there's more open land, so there's a question of whether sidewalks are most appropriate or whether it should be wide shoulder and sharrow markings and so forth, but that's what the engineers will tell us, if we're lucky enough to get the funding.
And what's the match on that, on our half?
It's a 20%. So we can apply, I believe, for up to 5 million, which would mean the project would be worth, I guess, 6.25 total. I don't know that we want to be that ambitious. The county planner says that a 1/4 mile of sidewalk costs $1 million, but I've heard that that's a high figure. So this is a conversation we have to have once we get our engineering firm established. You know, what's feasible in consultation with our grant firm for this application.
Very good?
Yep.
Okay.
So I've made that motion to authorize our supervisor to proceed with this process, seeking the expression of interest from these different firms, and then going ahead to work with the board to select a firm and to authorize an expenditure of up to $4,000 to create the materials necessary for the application.
I'll second the motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. We'll go ahead.
All right. I guess I'll be Chris tonight. I ask the board to approve the following vouchers that are over the threshold. AJJ HVAC, $7,450 for an AC for the pump in the courthouse, in the court office. Chemung Supplies, $3,152, guardrail install at the park. Cornerstone Associates, $2,375, September Lake and Stormwater Consultant. Duchess Environmental Construction, $6,778.75, fuel tanks replaced. Elon Financial Services, $6,892.77, October credit card. Global Montello Group, $3,381.50 for gas and $3,751.23 for diesel. Hogan, Rossi, and Liguori, $5,416.63, November legal services. Kent Seniors, $4,560, JTR Transportation. Millennium Strategies, $3,000 for October grant services. Peckham Industries, $26,009.70 for blacktop. Purchase Power, $3,000 for postage. Laura Roberts, $2,655, October prosecutor. Wind Waste, $9,438.98 and $8,912.46, Lake Carmel garbage. Lawson Products, $4,452.73, supplies for municipal repairs. Pitney Bowes, $3,208.99. And then we're also going to add Royal Karting, $4,196.62 for recycling. I ask the board to approve as read.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Announcements. I actually don't have any announcements for tonight. No?
No, I'm good.
And you want to?
Yeah, well, first of all, I gather there is going to be a Veterans Day ceremony at our memorial,
9 a.m.
9 a.m. on Saturday, down by, I'm sorry, it's Lakeshore, right? The road?
Yes.
I'm woefully ignorant of some of the roads in Lake Carmel, I apologize. Okay,
Can I,
Yeah.
it's Saturday at 9, because we just received something in the mail from the veterans, and I thought it said 9:30.
My office was told 9, but it could be,
Okay.
better check the
it
web.
could be 9:30.
Don't want to miss it.
He had a list of all the different services throughout the county. Some of them were not confirmed, but ours confirmed.
Okay.
Just, I don't know. Okay, so 9.
We'll put an announcement out there once we find the exact time.
Okay. A few things from the library. It looks as though they're looking for input from our community about what adult programming we would like to have in the future. So if you go to their website, there's a link for a survey and a QR code. You can let them know your interest. Also, Lego Club is still continuing through December, and that's first Tuesday of the month, so there will still be one in December. Homework help is ongoing. And if you owe fines to the library, you're one of those people. I used to be one of those people when I had kids. You can bring food items for the pantry items to donate instead of paying your fines. I think that's fantastic. And I should also mention Veterans Appreciation at the Friends book sale. So whenever the sale is open, if you're a military veteran, you can fill a bag of books for $10. And also here at Town Hall on Saturday, we'll be having the astronomy night, the star party. I believe it's starting at 5. I actually meant to double check that. And we'll have the Mid-Hudson Astronomical Club here with their telescopes, and you can come and learn about things that are going on up above. And I think that's all I have. Thanks.
Any public comment?
Just to go back a little bit with the budget with the sanitation district, and I know I've brought it up before. There's so many houses under construction right now. And, you know, with the cost of dumping the garbage is so high, and there's so many new people, if you could send something out, even through the Lake Carmel, you know, you have all the names and everything, to say that you have to get a dumpster if you're, you know, flipping a house or whatever. I mean, there's 4 houses around me being built right now, and thank God they are getting a dumpster. But I'm just saying that you have a lot of problems in a lot of the areas that you can't see, and that those dumping fees are going.
We're going to look into doing something, 'cause something has to be done, 'cause it's
Well,
getting out of
I mean,
hand.
what it used to be is that, you know, the person in charge of sanitation, you know, they would come in to the supervisor, tell you where it was, and you'd be writing a letter and saying, if you don't get a dumpster, you will be fined. And it always worked. Thank you.
Yeah, we've had a lot of discussions about this fact and how
Yeah.
to lower our costs for sanitation. Speaking to people about, taking their own leaves to, dump spot at the town hall, but nobody wants to take bags of leaves in their car. And
Well, I was even thinking too with the leaves, and I mean, I don't even know if this would be cost effective, but, in other towns, maybe it's worth getting a vac truck for, not a highway vac truck, something for Lake Carmel where, you bring it to the end of the property and they go and scoop it up instead, I don't know what the cost difference would be from you sending it up to where, Beacon or wherever you're sending it to, because a lot of people that are moving up, I've seen it on Facebook, are asking, where's the truck that comes around and does it? Well, we don't have that, but it might be worth looking into.
yeah, we talk about other things, particularly I see the sanitation guys at the deli just about every morning, so I generally query them on stuff. So I think we would pay $35 for a mattress or something like that.
It's ridiculous now,
So whether we get people to pay, we have to get a permit, if we can take away a mattress or something like that, so that as a collectively, we're not paying for those. If you want to throw a bunch of mattresses out, or your friend drops off mattresses in front of your house, maybe make,
Or how many toilets they can throw out with a one-bedroom
yeah.
house.
Or the guys who tell me that, this one guy has, always buckets of old tar,
Yep.
and outside sitting by his driveway that is dirt. So
Yeah.
he clearly doesn't put tar in his driveway.
Yeah.
So a lot of garbage coming in, right? It costs us by weight.
But
and
it's
so
the
we have to
guys
figure
that know it, I mean, the, sanitation guys, they see it, they know it,
Correct.
and they can give you the addresses and at least start there, but there's other things to look into because it's getting outrageous. And then eventually, they won't want us down in Somers, and just like they didn't want us in Peekskill, and, I mean, it gets crazy.
Yep. As far as budget cutting, that was something we were trying to come up with a lot of plans. We also said that people love sanitation in Lake Carmel, right? And
They
then
do, you can put, well, I won't
It's
say
the one
that,
thing that
but,
people don't complain about.
But you can, I know what you're gonna say.
but I'm just saying, it's communicating with them and asking, because they'll tell you the houses that are violating it, so.
I know, I said in budget meetings, I said I get complaints about every department in the town except for sanitation.
Except for sanitation. And the whole point of it was great, because, when I was a kid here, we just threw their garbage in the back, and it looked like heck, And then once they started picking up everything, the place looked cleaner, and it looks very nice right now. So it's a hard balance of, do we just pick up once a month bulk stuff so that you tend not to get people who leave stuff at their friend's house?
But you'll still get, the.
Or they just keep it until that once a month.
Yeah.
The Lake Carmel guys still used to have to pick up a ton of garbage. When the lake goes down like it is now, they used to pick up a ton of garbage. People still roll their water heaters, their tires, their, different things down there. So I don't know what the answer is, but I would start with the houses that are being flipped.
Yeah, well, littering is stuff that's in the lake. That's a different project all in itself, so. Sue?
So town hall is closed on Friday,
Correct.
correct? I saw it on the door, just want to let everybody know. Also, thank you, Sean, for picking up the signs in front of the Kent Recycling Center. Some of them were kind of causing a site challenge on Route 52. They were too close to the road. So thank you for picking them up
You're very welcome.
in a very fashionable time.
You got it.
I saw you.
I assume so.
Do we have a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
See everyone next Tuesday, November 14th, Sean.
7.
I think I-
7 p.m.